Okay, I think we're going to get started. So I am so happy to be teaching this class. Welcome, everybody. My name is Devon. I'm an artist. I love to draw and paint, and I do oil and watercolor. I also like calligraphy, but my favorite topic is nature. I guess traveling and just writing down the observations that I have. Here's some examples from a sketchbook that I did. I make a sketchbook everywhere I go. This was done in a colored pencil, and this one was done with watercolor. This is a sketch of a cafe I was at, and I didn't have my paints with me, so I painted with coffee because I was in a cafe. You can draw anywhere you go and anything that you see. Another thing I love, second to nature, is food. So here's some examples of some food that I had on a trip. I went to Germany. It was really beautiful. It doesn't always have to be in color. Here's an art store I visited, and I drew it in black and white. So any kind of paper, any kind of tool, it all works. Here's a quick landscape I did looking out a train. Sorry, I'm getting used to the camera. So it was very hilly and beautiful. It's a simple sketch, but just jotting down what you see and what you're thinking at that time will bring back so many more memories than just taking a photo. And it's the same with nature. The more you look to do a drawing or to really understand how something is created or put together in order to draw it, the more you understand what you're looking at. And therefore, you have a more interactive experience. So if we draw a flower, we have to stop and slow down and really, really look at the flower. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today, I'm going to show you some flowers, and then we're going to pick one, and then we're going to talk about some scientific names of flowers, and then some easy steps to draw a flower, maybe add some color, and we'll label that drawing. Okay, I see some more people are on. Hello. Okay, so do you have a flower with you? If you don't, it's fine. I brought you this flower, but I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go outside, if you can, and pick a flower. Let's go outside and I'll show you where I picked that flower. So go ahead. If you are going outside right now, go pick a flower and come right back. We'll wait for you. If not, let me just show you my flowers. Okay, so I'm walking outside. It's a beautiful day. We have lots of flowers back here. Here's some. Let's see. It's hard to see them. Here's a lantana. The lighting's not very good, but let me show you the flowers that I picked. These flowers, let's see, are growing everywhere in this area. Let me see, can you see that? There we go. Are they pretty? And the bees love them. There's always bees out here on these flowers. Can you see all of these back here? Yeah, it's just crazy with flowers. So I'm going to pick a small branch. Usually I come right out to the flower because I don't want to pick it. Let's see. But you can pick a flower every once in a while just to understand it and draw it. It's kind of sunny out. The flowers I was going to draw last week are all gone. And new flowers have come out. So right now is a good time of year to be drawing flowers. If you don't have flowers blooming, look at a flower. I'm going to get back here. You can always look at a flower online, a picture of a flower or an image of a flower. I take lots of pictures on my phone so that then later in the year I can paint those flowers. Okay, let's see if you can get my flowers back. So now I have even more flowers to show you. Let me move this. Okay, did you all have a chance to go out and pick a flower? Let's see. I want you to be able to see them. Aren't they pretty? Okay, so if you look around, you'll be surprised at how many flowers are out there right now. I see them everywhere. I see them in the alleys. I see them in the cracks on the street. I see them in the sidewalks. So you want to just keep your eyes open and look for flowers. Okay, so once we have the flower, we want to observe it. Now, on first looking at this flower, it looks kind of like it's maybe just one petal, but it really isn't. The more you look, the more you can see. So these flowers have 4 petals. Let's count them. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Isn't that cool? See how there's 4 petals? But when it's all together, it just looks like one beautiful crown of petals. Also, you would ask yourself questions like, where did this flower come from? Well, for me, it came in from my backyard. And was it in a sunny spot or a shady spot? It's a pretty sunny spot. You just want to ask yourself more and more questions. Another thing you might see this beautiful white space around the flower and then a yellow center. All right, so let's talk about how a flower is made, the scientific parts of a flower. Flowers are actually how a plant does reproduction, how it recreates itself. So we know the petal, this is a petal, the petal of the flower. This is like a cross section of a flower. This right here is called, this part right here, it's called the pistil, that whole thing. It's made up of different components, but it sticks up and out, it's higher than the others. This part right here is called the stamen, and it's made of filament and anther. The anther is where all the pollen is. And if you've picked your own flower, you might see on that anther tons of pollen. When I go out and look at these flowers in the garden, I can see the bees, and they crawl right in there, and they get, there's the, this is the pistil. See that it looks kind of like an X right there? That's the pistil. And right here are the stamen. And they, if you could see, there's all this powder on my finger right now. It's pollen. And that's what bees collect. Bees collect that and then fly around from one plant to another and put the pollen back on a different plant's stigma, this top part, and they pollinate the flower, and then the flower can create a fruit eventually. Also, this little part down here, this green, this part, let's see, that is called the sepal. Sepal or sepal. Let me see. You can see it better on this one. It's just a little green. It's usually a green or lighter colored kind of petal. It's below. It's called the sepal. All right. So those are some parts of your flowers. All right. So now we've kind of introduced ourselves to the flower and looked at it, examined it, looked at all its beautiful colors, counted its petals. This flower has, I guess I'd say 2 or 3 colors. It's got the pink, then kind of white on the inside, and then green in there. And then also you can look at the leaves of the flower. Sometimes flowers might look like other flowers, but if you look at the leaves, let me get that over there. If you look at the leaves, they look different from one plant to another. This one is long and kind of pointy leaves. That's all important in helping you identify your plant. Okay, let me put that there. Let's see if we can get it to pose for you. So if you have your own flower, you can use your own flower. If you want to work with mine, you can draw mine. All right, let's see. And you can draw this one back here, if I can get it to cooperate, or this one up here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is imagine that you know how when you would sing along to a song and there would be a bouncing ball? Let me get a brighter color. And you would follow the bouncing ball to sing along. Your eyeball is going to do that. It's going to slowly go all around the edge of the flower. And as your eyeball slowly goes along the edge of the flower, you're going to draw what you see. All right, let's see if I can get this guy to cooperate. There, that one's doing better. Okay, so as I slowly go around the edge of the flower, that's what I'm going to draw. It's called a contour drawing, and it's a really great way to draw. Here's a contour drawing I did earlier, all right? So I just, as my eye flowed around the edge of the flower, that's what I drew. You can use pen, you can use pencil, you can use a crayon, you can use anything that will make a mark, all right? So go ahead and take a few minutes, get your piece of paper, and draw just the outside edge of your flower, the contour. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. We're not drawing anything on the inside, just the continuous line along the outside, kind of like that. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Got that? You can write a little note if you've got that on my comments, or you can just draw it. Okay, once you have that outside edge, I can give you a few more minutes or seconds to do that. Then we're going to draw a little bit of detail. So don't worry if you can't see too much detail in this flower. If you can't see it, you really don't have to draw it. But I want you to draw a little bit of detail. So here's an example of, I drew the petals, the lines for the petals, and I also drew the center of the flower. Okay? So go ahead and draw a little bit of detail on the inside. Okay, so we're going to add color in a bit, so don't worry too much. It doesn't have to look exact. And if you make a mistake, if you make a line and you don't like it, don't worry about it. That's how we learn. The more mistakes you make, the better artist you become, because you see, oh, that didn't work, but it looks kind of cool this way. Or maybe it did work and you like it better than what you were thinking. So if you have a pencil and you want to erase things, you can erase things, but you don't have to. A lot of times in my sketchbook, I draw with ink, and if it doesn't come out the way I intended, that's okay. I just go with it. Okay, so I'm drawing a little bit more detail on mine. And so this is what I have now. Okay? Not a lot of information, but it's starting to look more and more like that flower. How's it going for you? Are you drawing the flower that I have, or are you drawing your own flower? Did the outside first and then some detail. Okay. Okay. So once you've drawn the outside and then you've drawn some more information, you're ready to add some color. All right. But let's look at this flower. All right. I can see it is a pink flower for sure. We'd all agree to that. But there's some lighter pink right here, and then some darker pink right there. And then we've got this light area, and then it's kind of green in the back, and then yellow right there. So this is the one that I did earlier. I used watercolor, and I just gave it a quick wash. Wash means a big splash of color. Now, with this one, my pen bled, all right? And I wanted to leave that to show you that that's not terrible. If your pen bleeds into your paint, that's okay. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then see how I added a couple leaves? Let me show you my paint kit that I have. I paint a lot. So this is my paint kit. It's got lots of different colors. It's just watercolor. And I have a brush, a paintbrush, just a regular old paintbrush, and a tub of water. And that's how I usually work when I do watercolors. The sketchbook I showed you, I did that with watercolors like that. All right. If you don't have watercolors, you can use crayons. I have this beautiful box of crayons. I love crayons. They're so pretty, all the different colors. And I like the way they smell. too. Have you ever smelled your crayons? It's awesome. So I'm going to pick some pinks that kind of go with this flower. I'm going to get, let's see, this one and this one and this one. They're all pretty similar, but a little bit different. So I'm going to just give my flower a big wash of color. I'll show you just a second. So I'm not worried too much. I wasn't too careful. I just covered it all with a base color of pink. Okay. So now I'm going to look at it. I'm going to squint at the flower. Squint means like you close your eyes and then open them just a little and look for some dark shapes and some light shapes. So where I saw a little bit of dark pink, I'm pushing a little harder with my crayon. If you have a crayon, you know that you can push on your crayon and it makes it a little bit more shaded, a little darker. I'm also using a different color crayon. It's like a little bit pinker crayon. Let me show you what I did. See how I gave it a little bit of shading? You can really see that they're petals on top of petals. I think I'll add some more. Then if you want, you can go back to your original color and blend it all together. So I'm going to go over it again with my original color and blend it all some more. Okay, so now it kind of looks like that, right? And now I'm going to take a light yellow, and here's my light yellow, and a green. Now, if you don't have colors, you can just use your pencil, or you can use a pen, and you can just make little lines for the shadows. But you can also use, I've used coffee, I've used tea. What else could you use? One time I tried to use beet juice, and it looked beautiful when I first did it, and then it turned kind of brown. But there. So I added some yellow in there, right? I'm going to add a little bit of shadow. And if you want, you can even add a leaf. If you want to add more, you can see. I just quickly did that, right? But I see a vein running through that. So I'm going to add a little bit more detail and come in a little bit more. When you color, you can go back and forth like this, or you can go tiny little circles. Tiny little circles covers all the little dots. Okay, there you go. All right, so now that we're really good at observing and drawing, and we know what the parts of the flower are, let's label our flower. That's what botanical illustrators do. They try to show people what a flower looks like so that other people can identify it. So it's important information, and then other people can look at the drawing and help to identify flowers. But for us, we're going to label some of the parts. Remember this diagram? Hold on. Okay, there's the petal, the pistil, which is this thing, the stamen, and the sepal. We're going to label that, all right? So let me show you a nice way of doing that. You can write the word, I wrote petal, and then I'm going to add a line that points to the petal, like this, okay? And then I'm going to do pistil, which is the middle part, and I'm going to label that, pistil, okay? I'm just drawing right over my flower. And then I'm going to do stamen. And I didn't really draw those in very well, so I'm going to kind of draw some lines with green. So it looks like shadows. See, I put in some little green lines right here. And those will be my stamen. S-T-A-M-E-N. Let me hold this up a little bit so you guys can see. So we've got petal, pistil, stamen, and I can't really see the sepal. The sepal was the little leaf that's underneath the flower, so we won't put that down today. Okay. Another thing that's great to put on your drawings, especially if they're out in nature, is your name. I'm going to put my name on there. And what time of day it was that you picked the flower. So I'm going to say 4 o'clock. What was the weather like? For us, if you're using this one, it was sunny out. And let's see, it's not windy. I think I'll put that, not windy, because in a week you might not remember what the circumstances were. So I'll show you. So I wrote my name and what time. It was sunny, not windy. There were a lot of bees out there. I'm going to say a lot of bees. So when you do this on your own, you can ask yourself these questions like, where was it? Maybe it was at your neighbor's on the corner. If it was at your neighbor's, you probably shouldn't pick it, but you could bring your sketchbook and you could draw it. You can write if it was in the shade or if it was in the sun. You can write if it was really wet or really dry. I have seen so many cactus flowers, and they're usually right in the sun. Let me see if I can find a picture of my cactus flowers that I've been taking. So many. It's hard to see. Whoops. That's not very good on my camera. But the colors are crazy right now. So I might use these later and do a painting of them. See all my photos of flowers? So if you have a camera, you can take pictures. If you don't, just walk around with your notebook and a pen and maybe a few crayons, and you can illustrate everything that you see. That's what I did with my sketchbook. Let me see if I can find another example in my sketchbook. And you'll be surprised at how much you remember when you actually write it down. Oh yeah, hold on. Here's another example. There's a fish in a koi pond. You can see it's a pretty simple drawing with not a lot of color, but I sure remember spending the time to sit there and really observe that fish. Right down there was a crowded market. That was in Laos. And I didn't add any color. Drawings work well without color too. I wanted to show you one more. Oh, this isn't nature, but this was a bakery. And I just sat there. I had a pastry and I drew everything that was in the window. But flowers and butterflies and any plants that you can find, they don't have to just be flowers. As it gets hotter and hotter, the flowers will wilt and die. But that's part of nature. They'll grow into fruit and seeds. But you can draw any plant you want. Remember, draw the contour first, the outline of it, then draw some detail, and then add some color. That'll give you a really basic introduction to drawing a flower, but I think you're really going to have fun with it. And you're also going to get really acquainted to what it is that you're drawing. You become more and more familiar. I think that's about it for now, unless I have any questions. Does anyone have any questions or any comments that they want to share? Let me show you another one I did really quick. I did one, the one I showed you live was with crayon, and then I also did this one with watercolor, and then I did this one. It was a different flower. I mean, it was the same type of flower, but it was different. Look how square that looks. It's because that's the shape of the flower when I drew it. And I drew a couple of leaves, and then I labeled it. It makes a nice little diagram of what I saw. And when I was there, I could see bees coming in and out. The bees go way deep into this part, and then they get that powder on them, and then they back up, and then they go to a different flower, and then they go in there. And when I got close to the bees, they didn't bother me. You want to be careful and not like swing your arms around, but I sit out there and the bees don't bother me at all. And now that I'm sharing these flowers with you, I can see a little hole. Do you see that little hole in the petal? See how my finger? So that makes me wonder. I wonder what caused that little hole. And here's another little hole. Maybe there's a bug out there that's eating them. So everything you observe, you can ask yourself questions about. And it's really fun. Yeah, there on this flower you can see the sepal. Here's the sepal. So maybe on the flowers that you guys find, you'll find more flowers with sepals. All right. Okay, well, I hope you have fun with drawing your flowers and labeling them and observing them and writing notes about them. And I will see you at our next session. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.